This is the Retirement Key Podcast with Abe Abish, founder of Abish Financial Services.
A lot of firms out there say they will do tax planning, say they will do Social Security planning and RMD planning, and typically they just do investment management. They want your money.
You've worked hard your whole life to earn and save. Now you need a plan to make that money work hard for you.
Where do you stand today with your retirement accounts, with your insurance, with Social Security, RMDs, taxes, all of it? This is how we need to think. We need to think outside of the box on these matters.
Abe is here to help you unlock the keys to your retirement.
Abe, we are not alone in the studio today. Pat's here.
That's right. We have a special guest.
A special guest in the studio with us today. Two questions for you. First of all, Patrick, are you the kind of person where it's Pat, only my mother calls me Patrick? That's my first question.
My wife calls me Patrick as well.
When you're in trouble? Is that a situation?
Well, most of the time, that's why she calls me Pat.
Got it. Okay. And then second question is this your first time on the radio?
Actually, no. I did a little bit of radio where I'm originally from, up in New York.
Got it.
That was a good number of years ago.
Okay.
So not to date myself. So.
All right. We won't do that. What we will do is use that time and knowledge that you have gathered working in the business that you have done. So, gosh, going on almost 3 decades. Is that correct, Pat?
Yeah, 30 years.
Wow.
Most people, they're shocked. They see me and they think I was 7 years old.
I was about to say, 21 going on, yeah. No, but you say you're from New York originally, so how long have you been here then in Virginia and working with Abish Financial Services?
Yeah, in the D.C. area, I moved down about 8 years ago, spent a little time with a few other, big name producers in the area, but came on board with Abe a few years ago and absolutely love it. Couldn't ask for a better character, couldn't ask for a better firm.
Well, that's one of the things that we tout a lot here on this radio program, the idea of the family environment that Abe and his wife have worked so hard to build at Abish Financial Services and the team that has been built up over these last few years and all the amazing things that you guys work to do every single day for all the folks and couples that come into your office as far as helping them figure out their own finances for their families, and it goes on and on and on. So with that in mind, I've got questions for the both of you that we want to talk about today. First, the markets have been doing great lately. Obviously, you guys keep a close eye on all of that in your office day in and day out. In fact, Fidelity says the number of retirement account millionaires is at an all-time high. So, what's the problem then? The problem is that some of us have short memories. PBS interviewed this guy after the 2008 recession.
It took 13 years to accumulate $80,000 and 1 year to lose half of that, and then try to get that back in another 13 years and only be at the $80,000 that you were 13 years ago. The math doesn't work.
I think that this is a fear that a lot of us have, guys. What happens to our retirement if we have another 2008? Is that possible? Is there any way to prepare for something like that? What are you telling folks with these kinds of worries in your office?
Well, Heather, we always talk about risk, right? Reducing risk at the point of retirement. And our clients are pretty much 55 years old and older. We're not 40 years old anymore. We don't work with 40-year-olds. And so the time is limited. And yes, of course, another 2008 can happen, especially when the markets are, through the roof for the last 13 years, Pat?
Since 2009. It's been almost like a rocket sled. 2018 was a slight blip.
So we've got to be prepared. God forbid we lose anything, but especially 20, 30, 40% right before we retire or right into retirement. And we just had a lady, Heather, call into the show, and she kind of lives here in the Northern Virginia area and on the Sound in North Carolina on the water. Mm-hmm. Beautiful getaway property down there. And she's a classic case. She's almost 70. She's done a fantastic job of saving. Her accumulation isn't the problem. She saved $1.5 million, wow. 70 years old. But when we did a portfolio x-ray for her, Heather, we found out that everything she had in the market was in stocks and bonds, and then she had a ton of extra cash. And, she didn't realize this. She's working with another big box firm, as Pat mentioned, 40 to 50% in equities, 40 to 50% in bonds, and a lot of cash. Found out all of this through a second opinion and is scared to death of what the market may potentially do in the future. She wants to get out of harm's way. But 40 to 50% in bonds, Pat, that's probably not the right thing right now, is it?
No. Unfortunately, interest rates are at historic lows. If interest rates are to go up, bond prices are going to fall. If interest rates go down, bond prices will rise. Well, we're at such a low rate right now. Is there further room to drop and maybe have some principal appreciation? Yes, but I would say the likelihood, especially when we see the inflation, when we're hearing the Fed talking about tapering, is most likely having interest rates move up and then having that loss of principal. And with interest rates somewhere between 1.3, maybe in the 2% range on a really, really good, offering, we don't really just see that as an efficient use of dollars at this point.
Not for 40 to 50% of someone's retirement nest
Not
egg,
even
right?
close. And that's where you really have to start thinking a little bit. Back at my prior firms, when I was up in New York, I had laddered out close to $500 million in individual bonds. Haven't been doing that since 2008. There's really no opportunity there that we can see, be it from the availability of bonds and, very frankly, from the return that you're going to realize. So that's really when we start looking for other alternatives. Unfortunately, there are folks who want to go into the stock market. The stock market has rewarded folks. No bones about that. It's done extraordinarily well. But, Heather mentioned 2008. I feel like we're almost in a 1999 situation more than anything else.
Right.
The dot-com bubble.
Right.
I think we are so heavily overvalued. We're looking at PE ratios of 35. I'm old enough to remember when 14 was a high number, but 35. And, at this point, with the Fed having its thumb on the scale, they're dumping $120 billion in liquidity into the market every month. That means they are buying up mortgage-backed securities, U.S. Treasuries. They're the ones that are buying them at this point. And that's $120 billion of liquidity that needs to go somewhere. If that releases, if it just doesn't even have to go the negative direction, if it just stops, we could have a major problem on our hands.
That's right, Pat. So, Heather, this lady was just like most of our other clients. She's 70 years old. She's won the game. She wanted to get out of harm's way. She wanted to build in layers of protection around her retirement plan. So what was the solution for this lady? We lowered the stock risk. We lowered volatility and standard deviation in her portfolio, Pat. We also minimized the bond exposure. 50% of a retirement nest egg earning less than 2%. Come on, we got to do better.
Right.
Because again, we're not even keeping up with inflation. Right. So we do, as Pat just suggested, look outside of the market as well. Sometimes even at instruments like fixed index annuities as a bond substitute or alternative, right? Because if we can have principal protection and have decent yield opportunity, maybe in the 3, 4, 5, 6 range, nothing, we're not looking to replace stocks. We're looking to complement the stock exposure and complement that risk exposure. So those are some of the solutions for this lady.
If you are worried about another 2008 coming in and just throwing a crowbar right into your retirement plan, Abe, Pat, and the entire team, they can show you where you stand right now. And you can always find us online, retirementkeyradio.com. Okay, so talking about 401ks and worries about our market investments, of course, we put all of this into a savings plan in our working years in effort to build up a nest egg. But the question is, how much money do we need in that nest egg to ensure a comfortable retirement? Because, guys, according to a new Schwab survey, the magic number is $1.9 million. That seems like a lot to me for the average person. What do you tell your clients about how much they need to have socked away?
Man, Pat, it really changes from person and couple to couple. I don't know if there's a specific number, but 1.9 on average, that does sound high. A lot of our clients do have $1 million to $3 million, $500,000 to $3.5 million, kind of in that range. But I don't know that the average person in this area has $2 million saved for their retirement.
We do have the benefit of being in the Northern Virginia area, so we do also encounter a lot of, be it county employees, federal employees, where they do have a pension. That makes a huge difference. The private sector really does not offer that monthly guaranteed amount of money during your retirement years. You're not seeing it. And if you really do look at that, that is oftentimes what we're trying to create for folks that don't have a pension, is to say, we want to give you some certainty. We want to give you that security and guarantee throughout your retirement years. But if folks have it, now they're really just looking at it more from maybe an investment standpoint. I can see where they're going with that. 1.9 might produce maybe $70,000+ of income if you're just taking down earnings. Not a bad rule of thumb. And then on top of that, you would put the Social Security and any other income sources.
Exactly. Yeah, we just had a gentleman call in who fits this bill here, Heather and Pat. He's 60 years old. He's retiring June of 2022. Lives here, Ashburn, Virginia, in Loudoun County. Here was his problem. Good problem, right? 1.2 million saved, but all of the money was in stocks. So before he came to meet with us, he was so scared of what could potentially happen in the market, he went all to cash, right? So a little bit of a bipolar move there, all stocks and all cash. Heard us on the show because he realized that probably wasn't the smartest move. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. He didn't want to go further out on the risk spectrum, so he went to cash until he could determine, what his options were. So we sat down with him and simply gave him a second opinion. We like to educate people. We educate people here to a decision. We talk about all of their options, both in the market and out of the market. So that way they have the tools to choose from. From there, they're going to choose the options that help them sleep best at night. And so what we did for this gentleman is simply gave him a retirement roadmap and income plan, right? We did find out that he had a pension. Certainly didn't need $1.9 million. A lot of his income was covered through the pension. So did this gentleman need $2 million? No. $1.2 million is going to suffice. And that was very comforting to him to realize he had the assets. He just needed a plan to turn the assets into income.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Key Podcast with Abe Abish. To learn more about Abish Financial Services, visit retirementkeyradio.com and join Abe for his radio show, The Retirement Key, Saturdays at 2 p.m. on WMAL.
Patrick Volk is an investment advisor representative of J. Hagan Capital, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Abraham Abish and Patrick Volk are licensed in your state, please call 571-577-9968. Abish Financial Services is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Abraham Abish or Patrick Volk. NPN number 770-3575 and NPN number 727-978.